Hello, everybody, and welcome to the live stream. I am here with a very special guest today. I am here with the CEO and founder of Love.io, the company that I am working with, the third party platform PulseChain project that is bringing in fresh capital in the name of love and censorship resistance. How are you today, Anders? How's everything, man?
I am so good, Corey. All is very good. I'm currently in a very beautiful island outside Thailand. It's called Phuket, so it's very nice.
Awesome. Yeah, my friend went when he went to Thailand. He went to Phuket, so he told me it was
Yeah,
beautiful there.
it is very nice. We just finished off. We had a big summit here
Mhm.
called the Metaverse and Crypto Summit in Phuket. That was 2 weeks ago.
Cool.
So very good, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a while, Anders. So I wanted to ask you, can you update our viewers about Love.io activities in the past month since we spoke, and where have you been, and how has the reception been for Love.io and Pulsion? I know you've traveled so many different places.
Yeah, yeah. It's no crypto winter for Love.io. I can tell you that. So
That's pretty
we've been all over the world. Me and the team. Sponsoring events. I've been doing public speaking, presentations. Had keynote speaker in several events as well. I think since last we spoke, I was probably in Ecuador then, meeting up
yeah,
with
sure.
Frost
Yep.
and guys there. Yeah, so then we had just finished off. I think the LA and NFT convention, which was massive, was tens of thousands of people, and all NFT artists, different projects, and so on. So that was really cool. After that. We went to Miami, and that was 3 events going on in Miami. So
Yep.
it was also a big NFT convention in Miami. We had, of course, WorldCon, where also T-Money and Freedom TV were there, marketing PulseCon and PulseChain. And after that, it was the Bitcoin conference. I just visit that and so on. I didn't want to be too much involved because it's always Bitcoin,
Of
and it's
course.
yeah. And then after that, we had 2 big events in London in Europe. We had. One where I did a keynote presentation of in London about blockchain and cryptocurrency, how to achieve mainstream adoption. Um, we also participated in the NFT rewards in London. So that was also incredible excitement, and it's just not only these events gives us voices to be heard. It's also so much networking opportunities at these events, because both for Love.io, for example, it's many really valuable connections when it comes to influencers, YouTubers, uh, people that really see the potential in Love.io. So those events, it's massive for like the networking and the exposure and so on as well. And of course for PulseChain, and I have said that to you many times before, like through Love.io, where PulseChain gets a natural voice, because we are out there speaking about Love.io, and then of course a big portion of our speech is about PulseChain and so on. So. So and then after London, that was 3 weeks ago, I think now, and then we were invited to join the metaverse and NFT and crypto summit in Phuket here in Thailand. And the funny thing with all of these events is that they are like so different with depending on where you are and the events itself. It can be, in LA, you can imagine the NFT communities in LA, and it was almost like being at the rave party. And then you coming down to like Miami, it's a little similar, but also different. And then London, it's all different, and then of course Asia is so different as well, and they have already much more crypto adoption, and especially working with like payment with QR codes and so on, and the reception for Love.io have been fabulous here as well, because is there one ticker or one domain that people understand immediately when they see it? It's Love, So everyone, we always get, like the first visitors, they always come to us, And also, I always have probably most people on my presentations and so on when I speak. And the feedback afterwards, it's like so nice to hear, they understand the concept, and of course a lot of more questions about PulseChain and everything. So it is really amazing. And then last week we went to Bangkok, and that was also a crazy event. It's like the Southeast Asia's biggest crypto event, and
That's awesome.
it was also like 10,000 people at least coming, and also very different from other places. I think I've read somewhere that people between like 20 and 25 in Asia and in Southeast Asia, I would say, they 80% have like a crypto wallet downloaded.
Absolutely.
So it's they are very much ahead of like crypto adoption in that sense, and so on. So it has been incredible, and we as I said, no crypto winter for Love.io. We are really out there.
That's great, because right now this market is not looking good. There's so much, so many issues that are coming up now with, unfortunately, with Luna and UST, for example. It's sad to watch, but I know that you've been all over the world in the last 3 months. You've went from 3 different continents, so that's great.
It is.
I'm sorry. Go on.
So it's and just to make like a comment to that too, and for many of us, and you too, Corey, we know that that is also the game of crypto, that the markets goes very much up and down, and,
of course.
It is also following like the world economy in many ways. But for us, I see first Love.io, we are not like a new speculative project, that people, we are depending on, like people should speculate if Love.io will make it or not. We are working so close with real adoption. And so for us, actually to launch in a bear market is actually the good thing, And as we know that almost all projects that ever have been successful in cryptocurrency have launched in bear market. So for us, it's we see it as an opportunity instead, and we just keep on getting like the adoption ready for launch, and just like any cryptocurrency, as we also regard ourselves, that is really a cryptocurrency for like micro tipping, adoption, real use cases, and so on, then we will see very similar to what happened to other cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, as we discussed in the past, that like the first real use case for Bitcoin was 2011 when WikiLeaks started to set Bitcoin, and we saw like 50,000 people starting to use Bitcoin, and then the price jumped over $1, and the same with Silk Road, more users, a higher price. And if you have a cryptocurrency just like Love, that is a cryptocurrency that can go like mainstream, it's easy for adoption and so on, then like speculative value, you know, on exchanges and so on, it's not so much that we need to pay attention to. We need to pay attention to, okay, adoption, what is the utility? When we sign on a new ambassador or influencer into the Love.io network, that is like such a huge hooray for us, because that means more adoption, you know, when Love goes live. So we will
Absolutely. And I know that you have onboarded many new YouTube ambassadors and
yeah.
partnerships in regards to Love.io. Can you give a few examples? And why are so many people attracted to Love.io? And what makes being an ambassador for Love.io different from other crypto projects, let's say?
Yeah, so that's touching back to that. So first, we are getting these amazing ambassadors and influencers almost every day now. Of course, we have from our own sister community and ecosystem, Freedom TV, with Team Money, the organizers of PulseChain, PulseCon. They have become like official ambassadors. We have diverse, two very skilled and talented guys I think they're based in South Carolina for diverse. As they are streaming, they have become ambassadors. We also, as you know, and that was through you, Corey, and your channel, you have Jason Clayton. And that is an amazing and guy to have on, you know, like an ambassador. He like his story, you know, I recommend to watch your stream with Jason to tell about his story, and that he went, you know, like, okay, I'm going to make my fitness journey, you know, really public, and he started to do that, and then he went viral and all of that. So he had like a lot of followers all over the world that is following him every day and so on. And so these, we are getting, and there's many more coming on, ambassadors. And what the real utility for them is that they, with Love, they are actually able to connect in a very easy way, direct with their fans and followers. So they can, just place a QR code with their wallet address in their social media, and maybe a heart as well, the Love heart. And then the followers, they can micro tip. And this is not like they have to send $5, and then the streamer receives, if he's lucky, like $3 and so on. These can be just like 20 cents, because the cost on PulseChain with Love will be like 1 cent, you know. So this creates a system where you can actually just like tip a little if you just like something and the connection. That is creating an amazing utility function, which many other cryptocurrencies in the past they were trying to do, and Bitcoin is of course the biggest example of that. To have like a peer-to-peer connection with their fans and followers, and and be able to receive like micro tipping. And not only is the value for the like the YouTuber, influencer, and so on, it's also their community. Because see a guy like Jason that everyone is now putting on both 100%, which is Jason Accountability Nation, his channel. They also putting on love hearts, and Jason put on that in his stream. So that means that the community too, they will start to encourage each other and can then peer to peer send a little love, for what they appreciate and like. So that is getting like real adoption for love, which is amazing. So the utility function for ambassadors and influencers. Of course, there is different utilities. If we talk for like influencers, when it comes to like artists and creators, they also see the good thing to have like micro tipping registered on the blockchain, because that means that that is like written in stone what the different wallet addresses and so on have tipped, and then they can do like NFTs of those wallet addresses, incentivize even further micro tipping and so on, because those wallet addresses have then can have some certain rights that that influencer or artist can give. So there is like so much of utility in the love.io concept, which gives like real utility and so on. So it's amazing. And as I said, we are signing on new ambassadors. Every new ambassadors, that means new adoption to love. And when we are seeing, like being a cryptocurrency that is focusing on Metcalfe's law, bigger network, that means a higher price of love. So it's fantastic.
Absolutely, that's awesome, man. I love seeing the mass adoption of love. I like seeing new people joining the ecosystem, and we're very excited for launch. And with all these new ambassadors, it'll be a lot easier to expand that word of love, and then to segue into not only ambassadors and not only ambassadors, but also there are also other projects and networks joining Love.io. And one big announcement last week was Amaze World in the travel industry. So what advantages do they have joining Love.io, and what advantages is that for Love.io?
Yeah, so and that is as I brought up earlier, like being on these big crypto events, it's a lot of networking. You meet different projects and so on, and also being in different countries, because now being here in Thailand, you have a lot of like YouTubers that is very national, that is for example YouTubing in Thai or different languages, and they see like love, because love is a universal language, so it works in their YouTube channel as well. And then it's a lot of projects as well. So Amaze World is they have launched a successful token in the travel industry. I think they have a market cap now of around 160 million, and are listed on a few exchanges and so on. And it's a very ambitious project. And what Love does to come in love into like different networks, it is something that they also gain massively to be in a bigger network like Love is. When you are especially a small project to do like your own native token, and so on, that maybe only work in one special network. That can also put a lot of limitations into your project and a lot of risk, because you don't have the same like network capability. But other projects will also integrate love into their network, because love can work, from brands to consumers, users, and so on. That means that they also gain that, for example, another project in US, for example, that is integrating love as well. That means that they also gain like other networks, because the price increases of love everywhere with the network growth. So that is a really interesting model, and of course, projects that wants to implement love into their network. Then we have an allocation to their project. Okay, here is your allocation, depending on how big your network is, and then when love is launched and increases the network, then of course their allocation will also increase in value. So it's we have many of these small like blockchain projects. We also have a few actually games. They also have a big network in their games, for example. But they have the problem of having their own native token. Again, it doesn't create any stability, and for them it's much better to be part of a bigger network, and so on. So it's coming on like many of these new announcements. Amaze World is just one of them, but it will be many more coming on in the next few weeks here.
That's amazing to hear. I really like the amount of interest we're seeing with Love.io, that there's so many advantages for different projects to adopt Love.io as their own microtipping token, as a means to exchange between fans, subscribers, and individuals within that network. So this is amazing to hear. So let me ask you this. I know that NFTs are a huge ecosystem and industry now within the cryptocurrency space. So many NFT artists and Instagram influencers are joining Love.io. Now, what benefits does Love.io gain, and what do the ambassadors gain?
Love can be used in so many different ways, and we have, of course, the micro tipping function that is one of the core things in the concept. But then, as I touched earlier in this stream as well, since, for example, influencers, and they are doing, and especially NFT artists, since they are doing NFTs, and many of them can have 100,000 followers and fans and so on. And one NFT artist that I love to do as an example is people every day. I think maybe I mentioned it before in your podcast, but he is such a good example that he was sitting every day doing a new drawing, and then he posted that to the fans, and they are like, "Oh, we love your drawing. Here is like a like and an emoji art." So he was doing that, the new drawing every day for 5,000 days. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we all know that he made one big NFT and then sold it for 69 million. But during those 5,000 days, if he would have been utilizing Love, he could then say to his fans, like, here now, if you like, you can micro tip, like just like a few cents and so on. And if he would have done that, that would have meant that he could have received a little revenue stream that would pay his meal, and maybe his rent, and so on while he was creating. And then he could also incentivize his fans and followers maybe include like different rights in the NFT that, for example, special editions, maybe access to him, more access to him, for example, and personal meetings and so on. And that value could then be included in the NFT of the wallet address. So that gives not only a way for him to make a living while he's creating, it also gives him a way of incentivizing micro-tipping. And finally, it gets the followers and fans a chance also. Maybe they have been micro-tipping for a long time, and then one day they discover that, oh, I need money to pay my kids' education or something. Okay, maybe I sell this the NFT of the wallet address, and that will then also have a value because of that. It's have both a collector value and then maybe, as we said, including these future rights, and actually a value that doesn't exist today when you as a person do like micro tipping on Patreon or YouTube super chats, which is basically only remembered when it comes up on the screen, that, oh, you receive $5, but doing it on blockchain, everything is registered forever. And so that, is a fantastic utility for like influencers and so on when they are like connecting with their followers and so on.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. And what I also want to ask you is the notion of adoption. I think the main theme here is the importance of adoption, expanding the ecosystem, expanding the word of what we're doing. So, why is the adoption of the network important for a cryptocurrency's valuation, and what makes Love.io different from other cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, so and that is also connecting to your earlier questions. That what we are very different when we are talking like ambassadors and affiliates to the Love.io network. And normally I don't like the name ambassador in crypto, because many times that is, paid, that, okay, here is some money, now you promote the coin or the token in your network, and it's more like speculation and paid advertising when you use like ambassadors and so on. But what makes Love.io different is that it actually provide a real utility for the ambassador, and enormous gain, much more gain than any other cryptocurrency when an ambassador actually start to use it, because we are actually providing a utility that can be used by their network. And just like, as we said, the number that 50,000 people joined Bitcoin 2011 because of WikiLeaks. That was the first time when Bitcoin went over $1. And when we are tapping into these influencer networks and ambassador networks, and then I say that maybe not all of the followers and fans to an ambassador or a YouTube streamer will start using Love, but say that maybe 1 or 5% maybe start slowly, like, okay, I download, get some Love and so on, and start to send. That means enormous, especially when we're talking about influencers like Jason, for example, that is sitting, maybe have 100,000 people that is following him daily, and his ecosystem of people. If they start using Love, this is enormous for the price of Love going up. More users, Metcalfe's law, we are a network, we have a limited supply of Love in the network. So so this is like every time we are signing on a new ambassador, this is not promotion, this is adoption. So maybe we in the Love.io team, and you included Corey, we should open up a bottle of champagne every time someone joins.
Absolutely.
it is a crazy value for us that no other cryptocurrency has. That it's not about like promotion. This is like real onboarding into the Love.io ecosystem every time we are signing on a new ambassador. Plus, that it provides them amazing utility, much easier for them to connect, and as we said, these that they are able to get like monetary support and so on. There are like so many advantages for everyone, and then I would say also being part of the Love.io network, that also means like a co-promotion. I know that some YouTubers and influencers that have joined us, they have gained, like 1,000 subscribers in a week. Some of them just because we are like, if you are in the Love.io network, you are like having love in your networking ecosystem. That means that the others is pushing your content as well. So that is really fantastic, and that will also go further. We have this premium platform, Lovify.com, that will also be like much more content and really like pushing, lovifying content all over the world. So yes, adoption in cryptocurrency, especially now when we're talking like bear markets. So all cryptocurrencies that is pumped because of speculation. I think Dogecoin have lost like 95% of the value since Elon, he was tweeting about Dogecoin the first time, and those cryptocurrencies is only like speculation. Get very bulled up during the bull market, and then now when we're coming into the bear market, they're losing a lot of the value. But cryptocurrencies that is based on like the network provider utility, they are the winners, especially in the bear market.
Right.
So
absolutely, I agree with you 100%, and I agree that adoption is so focal to the valuation of a cryptocurrency. Without a community, a project is nothing more than just code. So you need that community, you need that adoption. And on that topic then, will we see more ambassadors and partnerships onboarding to Love.io within the next few months?
Yeah, so it's. I think we are going to send out. I think only today 7 new agreements or something. So it is a lot of more coming on every day, and what I also want to say that we have not like the biggest like Telegram community and so on, and I encourage everyone to go in to that community and just join. But the indirect followers that Love.io has, I think that it's not many projects that have that, because like we earlier discussed, like every ambassador, every influencer that joins Love.io, that means that we are tapping into their network. So that means that every time new ambassadors comes on, that means we are actually increasing the Love.io network and community. Not everyone will jump into the Love.io Telegram chat,
right?
Because they are not, many of them are not like crypto people, but the indirect community we have is incredible, amazing.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%, and I like how you're able to amalgamate people who are not traditionally into cryptocurrency, but are still extremely interested in what this product has to offer. So let me ask you this then: you talk about the crypto bear market a couple times here. Is the current crypto bear market creating a problem for Love.io, and also the delay of PulseChain, because we've been hearing the 2 more months it's fixed since July, and now it's 2 more
Yeah.
weeks, and it was mid-May, and now it's probably going to be June. So, what's your take on that? Is this a problem?
I think I touched the bear market issue, and as I said, we are well financed from the beginning, even before we started the sacrifice and so on. And so for us, like the bear market doesn't have so much impact, and we also see it as an advantage. It's better to start, and have a token price that increases,
Of course.
and then to start on a high level, and then you have harder to keep it. So for us, it's perfect when it comes to the bear market, and also the really smart crypto investors that see that maybe this bear market will extend even further, then it's much better to sacrifice for a project like Love.io now, because that means that your sacrifice is locked in, your tokens is locked in. We still have a few, 2 weeks left, I think, on the Love.io sacrifice, and that is like a perfect example to protect your money if we are getting like further down in the bear market and so on. Regarding PulseChain's launch, it is, of course, everyone wants PulseChain to be launched, and as early as possible. I think that I was quite good in my predictions, because we set the sacrifice day to end in May this year, and last year everyone was saying like, oh, is it May? A long time. PulseChain will be launched earlier than that, And so I knew that this takes time, and we want PulseChain to be perfect. And it's I am so happy when Richard announced that yes, we have to delay it because we found a few potential bugs, that need to be fixed. And that's perfect that we actually found it. If we would have stressed, or Richard, he would have been stressed with the devs, then that could be a big problem. So it's better to take the time to have it launched. And for Love.io, it doesn't affect something, because we are signing on ambassadors now anyway, and in a high speed, and that means more adoption when Love is launched on PulseChain. So for us, it have hardly any effect. Of course, it will be fun when the PulseChain mainnet is launched, and all our ambassadors, they can have the QR code with their wallet address in their screen, and so on. That would be amazing when that actually starts, and we can actually start to push out the adoption and so on. But it's nothing that it needs to be perfect when it's launched, and Richard is a perfectionist, and we all thank God for that he is really wanted to be perfect, and then when it's ready, it's ready.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. I mean, the waiting can be a bit it can be disgruntling, but also at the same time, you got to understand that technology takes time, and with a gate-kept cryptocurrency like Hex and a gate-kept community like Hex and PulseChain, it needs to launch perfect without being crucified then.
Yeah, it is, and I have that is an interesting point as well when it comes to these, like the gate-kept cryptocurrency, and there is, of course, when I'm out speaking, when I'm the biggest like defender of Richard and PulseChain and everything out there on the crypto events and having debates. I even been on the main panel with Bitcoin maximalists, and have had really, really big debates. And it is, but one good thing that I have to say, especially since we have had some drama in the community and so on, is that like what Richard does, and also deals with the publicity. I think Richard, he gained over 20,000 new followers just a few weeks on Twitter and so on, and that is because of his like some people think is crazy marketing. But we have to understand that today, YouTube, when you are watching YouTube, it comes up these like different examples, what you your suggestions, and his suggestions with when he have like YouTube with like Playboy girls, or he is showing his cars and so on. That get clicks and exposure.
It does.
So even if we are like gate kept in many ways, there is a huge interest for like PulseChain and so on, and also the major YouTubers is also gate keeping like Richard and PulseChain and so on. But I think that when PulseChain is launched, I think that they will actually go out. That's my feeling, because many of them, almost every of the big ones, they have sacrificed. They are financially engaged in PulseChain. They are a little afraid now because they maybe think that, okay, if I talk about this, then I get hate from my community, so I don't talk about it. But then I believe that we will see a big that they can't do it, later on. We of course we see, and as I said, it's also very different. Like PulseChain, it's a very different project. I don't believe that PulseChain can be compared, as I have seen in some YouTubers have done, that they compare it like with Tron and says like, oh, Tron did 100x the first week, and so on. It's a very different project because they had like the whole Chinese community behind Sun, and so on when Tron was launched. But the beautiful thing with PulseChain is that this adoption can be the first week, it can be the first month, it can be the first 1 year, it can be like the first 2 years, because all ERC20s and NFTs exist here forever, So when someone decides like, oh, maybe now I have $200 of my token on PulseChain, maybe it's time to actually log in and check if I still have that connected to my wallet address. So this adoption, I think, can come, in a longer time, and it's not something that we need to be, afraid of that we are, really. But it's a lot of work. We still have to work a lot. We still have to get monetary energy, especially new projects. And I think Love.io doing a great part in that because we are actually bringing in like new, fresh monetary energy into the ecosystem. I think one problem many have done is that they focus on projects that is like connected to Hex.
Right.
And taking like monetary energy from Hex, I think that the potential, the really huge potential, is for projects that like Love.io that actually will gain, independent of the other projects on PulseChain. We are building, mainly the first reason why we are building on PulseChain is the technology. For Love, that technology is amazing. It doesn't exist, haven't existed before, and that is why we are building on PulseChain.
Absolutely. That was extremely thorough, and I appreciate your opinion on the delay of PulseChain and the benefits of Love.io launching in a bear market, and I really love the optimism. So for my last question here, Anders, what is next for Love.io, and will you and the team keep the same high phase?
Yeah, so yes, spreading love is the most important thing in life, So we will, wherever, there is a crypto activity in the world, big conferences and so on, we will be there. Of course, now we still estimate based on the information that we have got from the PulseChain devs team. So we estimate that PulseChain mainnet will be launched in a couple of weeks' time now. So of course we have that as an important thing that happens, and then of course a lot of work is connected to that. The sacrifice will then end, and then we will of course start with the airdrop and so on to the community and people that have sacrificed. There is of course a lot of work to be done there, but besides that, we are focused not, and that will not stop when mainnet is launched, to be on these like crypto events and so on, because as we have discussed in this stream, Love.io is so different when it comes to the value that we actually gain when we are signing on like new ambassadors, because we are like directly tapping into their networks, and the value for new ambassadors, influencers, networks is so big. So that means that this will be ongoing even after mainnet is launched. We will be out signing on ambassadors, and as you have seen now too, Corey, that is in the team, that all ambassadors also becomes bigger and bigger. We get like bigger. I have some big announcements that will come this week as well, with bigger networks ambassadors coming on, and they also becomes bigger and bigger, which means that this work will be like ongoing and also intensified after mainnet is launched. So I see us being on even more like big crypto events, maybe even have several teams being out on these events and so on, and signing on like new networks, new ambassadors, bringing on more adoption into the Love.io ecosystem. So this is like an ongoing process to work for Love. So.
Awesome. Andrews, I really want to say I appreciate your time today. I know that we're at an 11-hour time difference right now, and I know that you've been really busy working over the last 2 months, just traveling the world, getting the word out for Love.io, getting the word out to expand the cryptocurrency ecosystem of PulseChain, and not giving into that gate-kept ethos that unfortunately exists in some area. So I want to say thank you so much for your time today, Anders. And if there's anything else do you want to say before we conclude?
No, thank you, Corey. I am always happy to speak to you. You bring so much love and enjoyment in your stream. So I'm always happy. And we are catching up so much.
Yes.
Outside these streams as well. So, but I'm very happy to be on your stream.
Absolutely, man. You know, anytime, anywhere, I'm happy to do it. And I really am excited to work with Love.io. For those who don't know, I'm actually an ambassador, which I'm sure many of you already know because my name has it in it.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that this is
one of our first ambassadors. I have to say that. You were one of the first.
I appreciate that. And I'm trying my best to onboard new ones.
Always will be one of the first ones.
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate your time, and I can't thank. I guess someone's decided to mow their lawn at 11 o'clock. Yeah. So I really appreciate your time today, Anders. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Corey. Talk to you next time.
Take care. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.